All right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another adventure in IT tech support. I'm here today and to talk to you guys about IT services and different support options, not just from us, but some expectations that you should have across the board when it comes to your IT people and what your IT folks can do for you. And I'm going to be looking at our IT services. I like to think that we're kind of the gold standard, that we are the gold standard for the way that we do things here. And I'm going to get into the different reasons on those beliefs that I have. So first off, I want to thank you guys all for showing up today. This is our slotted time. And if you guys also want, we are on the YouTube as well as the Facebook. You can go back and check out some of the past ones that we've done. I'm going to be changing up the format a little bit. And if you know anyone else that needs to get on the mailing list, jump over to our website at alaskacomputersupport.com. Make sure to get them signed up so that they can also be receiving the notifications as these are coming out and coming towards you. So we always like to start off with what's in your cup today. Today, I'm juicing. And so today we're going to be doing some beet powder with some apple cider vinegar and protein powder. Let's see how this goes. Not too bad. Not too bad. Good stuff. Good for me. That's the guess, right? All right. So let's start digging into this. One last thing about that. So with the newsletter, I'm going to start putting some more meat into those and some more content. So in case for some reason you miss these, you're getting some good value out of the emails. But remember, you can always go back and watch them later at your own time and convenience if you don't get to finish it or anything of that nature. So let's go ahead and dive right in. What is an MSP? And what does it mean when we talk about IT services? An MSP is a managed solutions provider. Okay, and the function of an MSP is to manage the IT, which is information technology, solutions that you have. Not only that, but we provide these solutions for you guys. These solutions can be everything from the computer systems you work on, the server systems that you guys work with. It's also going to be ramping up into managing your desktops and how your desktops work. It's going to be your security systems, your firewalls. So it's really that holistic top level approach to every component of technology that runs inside your organization. It can be things like what we're doing here today with the video streaming. It's also going to be things like microphones, and it's going to be phone systems and how they work. It's going to be security camera systems. It's going to be the integration of all of these different parts and pieces and how they come together, all the way down to the tech that we keep in our pocket and the way that that works with that. And so at computer support, Alaska Computer Support, technically, guys, just FYI, we're Global Computer Support Corp. And that's part of our new nationwide drive that we're really ramping up into this year. We're looking to expand across the U.S. So if you guys, any of you are stateside or anything else like that, and you need some assistance, we're here to help you guys with that as well. The majority of the work we do, we can do remote. And the things that we can't, we get hands on site, no matter where you're at. We work all over Alaska, and we have also worked all over the United States and still continue to do so. So now that we know what an MSP is, and we know what IT, information technology, is, aka geeky stuff, let's start to break this down a little bit farther in the way that this interacts in your day-to-day. So the majority of us all come to work and sit down and start working in front of a computer. When we work in front of that computer, there's a few things that we needed to do. The very first and most important thing is we needed to do what we want it to do, not necessarily what the computer wants to do. We find that to be a real big common theme, especially for unmanaged computers. And I use the word managed there because we are an MSP, a managed solutions provider. And so we manage those computer systems. And we do that by utilizing software on the computers that help us with that management. And so we call that software an agent. And that agent, what it does is the piece of software sits on your computer system and it does monitoring. And it tells us all kinds of health information about the computer. Yeah, computers have health as well. And what that health looks like a sick computer might have what we call a defrag drive. And so what that means is that the information's not quite lined up right, like a head cold. And so we use a tool called defrag in the back end that then realigns all that and makes that computer start running smoother and healthier again. Other things we have to look for are catastrophic failures. Catastrophic failures could mean that your hard drive is about ready to die. There's tests that can be run. But the big thing about it is that, yeah, can you self-manage and do all this stuff yourself? Yeah, for sure you can. But the thing is that we find the majority of people that want to try to do IT services themselves, most of the time will do it for a little bit of time and then they fall off. And that's the thing about our agent. Our agent's always there, 24/7, 365. Our agent's that background and running along. And so that agent is doing these tasks in the back end, and then it reports to us through a control panel interface to let us know how everything's going. And so we get these different alert statuses if there's a problem on a machine. And so we can't stop the problems from ever happening. But what it is we can respond to the problems very quickly to keep your system running as smoothly as possible. We here understand that relationship between the cost of employee and the ability to make money and how well your computer systems are working. So, and that gets into our pricing model, and I'll talk some more here in a bit about that. But our goal is to keep that pricing flat and make this as cost effective for both of us. And then we also believe in long-term relationships. And so we know that like maybe 1 month, that's not going to be cost effective for us at all. But we know that over time, everything's going to flatten out and be just fine. The other thing too, which I want to point out since we are talking about this right now, is, we do things on month-to-month basis for our services. Some things on the outside, we can't control that. You start to get into a phone contract, they're going to want 1 year, 2 year looks better on pricing. It can be a win. But also phones are something you can tie into for a long time because typically we don't go around changing phone systems. And that doesn't matter if you're with us or whoever, those phone systems stay in place no matter who the MSP is. And same thing for like email accounts. A lot of times you can get a decent discount when you jump into your Office 365 and commit to a year. Now, we have to think about like when we're inside of that office environment, how often are we going to be hiring people, changing positions and stuff, which isn't that big of a deal if we have some churn, as long as we're always still utilizing that seat, because we have to keep in mind if we buy it for a year, we own it for a year. And then there's only short windows that allow us to pull those out. So for that right now, I'm going to digress and I'm going to go ahead and get back to talking about the agent and the agent functionality. So that agent is great because it's consistent. We program it what to do and it just keeps on doing it. And so it does these health checks to let us know if a hard drive is going to go bad or if there's some other core functionality issue. Some of the things that we look at every day on your computer systems, or, if you want to get service with us, just reach out, check out our website, alaskacomputersport.com. And so that agent is going to report back how much memory is that computer using and how often, how much processor is that computer using and how often, and things like that. What it does for us is it allows us to start to help folks understand when they might need to be buying a new computer. And so that's part of our CIO services that comes with our Total Care. And so with that, we're going to be able to reach out and chat with you guys and get that going on. The other thing too is I'll talk about different service plans. We'll drive into that here some more in a minute. Everything that's available in any of the plans is also available a la carte. So even if you're just an MPH user, which is our entry-level plan, just our agent, which is also our least expensive plan, and you want some CIO services, you want to do some one-on-one consultation, you want to know how to take your business to the next step, what tools should you be using, how to do things, what is going to be the best cost savings, can we help you analyze your internet costs or your phone bill? We're definitely here for all that. And that just gets into a time and material situation. But just because I say CIO services are with Total Care only doesn't mean that just means that they're only included in that. That doesn't mean that that's the only way to get them. So I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that. Let's go ahead and start driving in and taking a look at some service offerings here and see what this looks like. And for that, I'm going to go ahead and jump over to our website and start to look at this. So if you're not familiar with our website, let me just give you a little tour. So one of the things I want to point out right off the bat is here on our website, there's a link for tools. And here is a request if you need portal access. And then here is the link to the client portal. Portal's where all the good stuff happens. That's where you're going to get into remote control into systems that are inside your environment, as well as check out what open tickets you have, any quotes, invoices, billing, all of that kind of fun stuff is all handled in there. And we also get to control the different levels of that. So maybe you might be in your organization and watching this today and not be somebody that gets billing information, but wants to see the tickets that are open on your behalf, you can get into the portal and get access to check that out. And so that's the primary thing that I wanted to point out on here. Here we have some information about our reviews and referrals. We love referrals. So if you have the opportunity, please jump on there and go ahead and tell us how we did. And if you can, give us some referrals. We'd love to help out other friends and give them the stellar time and type of service that you are receiving as well. Here's another fun one. This is going to be the coffee time with Mike. This is where you guys are at today. Tells you a little bit more about that. This is where you join that mailing list, hop into there, share that with your friends. Let's get our pool of people here a little bit larger and just keep on growing this. All right, let's get back on topic. So I'm going to hump back over here to the home page. Our home page just kind of dives into the different kind of services. We deal with the Google ratings, and we can help you with Google ratings. We help with websites. We help here again, phone systems, security systems, all of that kind of stuff. We are your go-to provider to give you guys a hand with that. And so there's just more information here. Here's the phone system stuff. Here's cloud services. We can help with all that. Some information about this great state of Alaska that we live in. And just to share something kind of fun with you guys, if you're curious, as I keep on scrolling down to this, once you get all the way to the bottom, there's going to be this really neat link right here, recently added. And truthfully, this is for search engine fun stuff, but it's also fun to look at. Your local, our partners. These are all of the different locations that we're now supporting. Okay, so if you know anybody out of state as well, go ahead and get some recommendations over to them to give us a shout, and we can see how we can help them. All right, back on task. So when you come to the head of our website here, you can go to pricing and services. We keep our pricing simple. And so we have no monthly contracts. Okay, I'm not a big fan of that. These folks that lock you into these year or 2 year or 3 year contracts for service software or for any kind of support agreements, especially when they're not utilized, that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And with that, the other thing that we allow is we allow a la carte. You could have 5 of these and 2 of these and 1 of those. There's another level to the total care here, which is required for servers. We call it server care, but it has a lot of the components of the total care, but because of backups and stuff like that. And so let's go ahead and just start to look down, and you can see the different the different parts and pieces here of our plans. Okay, and so from here you could also do a sign up if you're not already, and that'll just get us some information on what you're looking for there. Figure out the things you're specifically looking for. Some of our add-on products like LastPass, we can help you out with that. Backup monitorings, Office 365 or Google, or secure email. We do a lot with the Office environments to where we are dealing with HIPAA and that kind of fun stuff. So our 3 tiers are going to be MPH, Pro Care, and Total Care. Okay, and let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like. And so let's see, I am going to do something here. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to flip that off and get you guys a view on that website and me at the same time. Okay, so if you guys are interested and need one, we have some glossy fill out that we can drop by at your office, and that's going to get into the different plans and different things covered in the plans. Next thing that we're going to be talking about here is also how we deal with the IT support tools. So we have some more information there that we can provide with you. And here again, if you want any of this, just give us a shout. We'll get that over to you. And then there is some more comprehensive guide information too. We have all that in a nice glossy format. Let's start off with these plans and then explain what the different components are and how these apply and what computer systems these apply to. And so with that, we're going to start off on that MPH plan, which is going to be our manage, protect, and help. And for that, that's going to cover your basic foundation. A lot of times we're going to use these on, if somebody has a work computer and then like a home computer, MPH would go on that work or that home computer. It would also go on like a traveling laptop, things of that nature. We're going to go ahead and cover the support for the user, but we need the tool set on all the devices that user uses. And so once you get into a Pro Care or Total Care, then he opens up that MPH for you at that discounted rate for the additional computers that you work with. And that's going to give you that security. That's going to give you the remote control abilities to like tag into that machine if it's somewhere else. So that's the way we see a lot of that being used. That's going to be our basic introduction plan that's going to cover not support. All the support is a la carte at that level, meaning that you pay for it. It's time and materials at the MPH level, but you can definitely get support all you want. You just call in. It's going to be our number. We're 24/7, 365. We have an answering call service during business hours. We strive to get with people within minutes, but hour can be the maximum there. A lot of times we see it into the 10 to 15 minute, just kind of depends on call volume, day, and whether or not it's right before a holiday or right after Christmas. Lots of calls right after Christmas, new toys, everybody's wanting to play with that. So as we move from that MPH and we start to step up our plans a little bit, now we're going to get into that ProCare environment. And as we get into ProCare, what we're going to see here is a lot more of the office environment type of utilization. So now you get that base software stack. But the biggest add-on here and the biggest bang for your buck is going to be that unlimited phone and remote support. Phone and remote go hand in hand. You know, you pick up the phone, you give us a call, we remote in. It's also tying in the remote access for yourself so that you're jumping in, you're gaining access to your computer through the portal, like what we talked about a little bit ago. And then you're just going to have more things covered in this. And so one of the things is like, this is a lot of things that are covered, right? Where do exclusions fall into place? And so with exclusions, I'm going to give you an example on that. So we pretty much will cover and work with any piece of software. But when we get into things that are outside of the operating system, or if Microsoft had a big snafu that changes the environment's functionality, then billing can be addressed like that. But you're not going to just get surprised with that. We're going to have a conversation about that. We're going to tell you exactly what's going on with that and what you can expect and how much things are going to cost, because we don't like to surprise anybody with any of that. And so we had an example the other day. There was a QuickBooks problem that came up, and the lady had this really bizarre QuickBooks problem. She'd had it in years past. It was something from using a piece of software that was from 2005. And like literally this was like 2 weeks ago. And she had solved it, but she'd forgotten how. So she called us up to deal with that. And so what happened is that ended up taking 3 hours to solve something that should have taken less than a minute with a few clicks of buttons. We had to call tech support. There was all kinds of problems with it and everything else like that. And so after a conversation, we came to an agreement of 1 hour of billable on that. We went ahead and took care of those other 2 hours. And basically, it was something that was fair. This time we got good documentation on it. Now we're aware of the problem. So if the problem does come up again next year, it's just going to be that 5-minute fix and we're able to get down the road. So that's an example on how we do business there. So now let's start talking about our next plan up, which is going to be Total Care. So in the Total Care plan is going to include not only the unlimited phone and remote, but the unlimited on-site. So you're not going to be getting billed for those on-site events. Now, some things that might fall out of that would be strategic planning meetings, unless it's part of that CIO service. So there's going to be some different components with that. But here again, conversations come along, and a lot of times it depends if it's driven from like a project or something of that nature. If we're talking about project planning and dealing with projects, then that's going to be excluded, because here again, we call it adding functionality to the environment. And so that does become a billable component. On the Total Care though, not only is it the unlimited on-site, which is the big component to that, but it's the emergency care, which is that after hours care, when you have a system down, which is like key for your system and your functionality of your business, then you're going to give us a call. We're going to have technicians on site or remotely accessing or whatever we need to do. And if for some reason there was a catastrophic failure in that environment, then we're going to show up with loaner equipment and we're going to show up with whatever's needed to get you guys back up and running as quickly as possible. And so that's going to take care of everything to get you up and running until we can get let the dust settle a little bit, get things running. And then after we get that all figured out, then from there, we'll build a plan, build a project, and move forward for what's in your best interest. Now, let me relate this to how this should work with other MSPs. If you're not one of our clients and you're somebody else that's fishing around, trying to see, what's a good solution? Do I really need managed solutions? And so what we find is that when you get into a managed solution situation, basically it's going to allow you to take the ease off of having to fix computers, have a quick route to go if there is a problem. So if a problem comes up, boom, you already know what to do. You know who to call. You call your MSP. You call your managed solutions provider. And so that's a big reason why we have these. Okay. Now the next things to look at, I always like to test call their tech support. So if you think, hey, I need to go with this nationwide group or whatever, pick up the phone, call them, see how quickly they can provide you with that tech support. And even if you're not a client of theirs, see how long it takes you to get through and how easy it is to actually talk to a human. That's a really big way to get a litmus test on how things are working there. The next thing that we start to look at from the MSP standpoint and what's the value is, what level of assurance, not insurance, but assurance are you getting? So with our plans, when we get into those pro cares and total care specifically on the server, so we have that total server care, that's going to be our backup platform. We actually have a human being that every day monitors backups. And so they're getting in, they're checking the status of the backup. A long time ago that we found out it wasn't enough just to check the status of a backup and see a computer going like, hey, it's good, boss. Is it really though? And why that question comes up is because hard drives a lot of times are failing in the back end and we don't realize it. And when a hard drive starts to fail, there's data corruption going on. And so when backups are made, you do a complete backup, which is a clone of that system. And then what happens is you start taking little bites of the changes. And then when you go to do the restore way over here, you have to compress all of that together into one big thing, which makes it the current. And so what happens though is if for some reason the big backup itself got corrupted, none of that will work. And so our system is designed to where we check that health status on that backup drive. And then on top of that, we go one step farther. We test that. And so I'm bringing this up because these are the things to ask the new company or whatever company you're looking at about, hey, how are you handling our backups? How do you deal with that? What happens if we have a catastrophic failure? Those are the words that we use for it. That catastrophic failure could be fire, flood, theft. Those are kind of the common, unfortunately. And so another thing that we do with this though too is we do offsite validation of that. And so we rotate disks offsite. So the problem with storing data in a cloud, right? Everybody's like, just take it to the cloud. It's easy, right? But here again, we're dealing with those small chunks of information being gone out to the cloud. Okay. And then, so we're using internet there. We're using the internet that our company needs to do daily operations. Okay. And then the next thing is so I have this huge ball of data out in the cloud that could be in California, could be, Texas, Arizona, somewhere like that. Or who knows, maybe it's overseas, or maybe it's across multiple data centers all over the world. Who knows? Just depends on who we're working with. Azure services, Google services, even like a GoDaddy type situation, any of that. And so the thing is now I got to pull that data back. Well, if we're crashed or showing up with temporary equipment, we need to get online like right now. We don't necessarily have time to wait for, oh, great, we have all the equipment here. Now let's start that download on that backup. I'll see you in 2 days. That doesn't work. And that's why we do offsite local disk rotation, meaning that we take a disk, we bring it offsite, keep it in our secure locker, which is 3 doors deep, meaning that there's 3 locked doors to get to the disk. And so that way we keep it secure. And then that way, a lot of times our recovery times are about 4 hours. It just depends on how much data you have. And then when we do our test restores every quarter, we can get a good estimate to let you know where that's at. So another key component is reporting. What kind of information is your MSP giving you about your systems every month? Are you getting that? So with our total care, you're going to get consistent reporting, giving you these numbers, giving you this information, and just getting out to you what you need to make intelligent decisions about your business and keep everything rolling forward. So here again, that's another question for your MSP is, hey, where's your reporting? What's that reporting look like? What's the frequency of which I'm going to get that? All that kind of fun stuff. So one of the things that also comes into this a lot of times is, sure, you could do some basic maintenance on your front end, but are you going to be able to handle your server? And why do you have a server? The biggest reason for servers is for security and for a centralized place of storing information. So when we do those backups, we take what we call an image backup because there's a secure relationship between servers and workstations. All of these guys are securely talking. And so for some reason, this server disappears, then these don't know who to talk to, and we've lost that security component. And so when we take that clone image, it allows us to bring a clone back in and make these guys happy again for the way that they're communicating there. And so that's why the backup situation and the way that we do the backups is so important and so key. And so that's a basic overview of the different components there. Of course, there's going to be support in there for scanners, printers, and just whatever needs that come up. And so the way that we like to take it to the next level above that is helping with security beyond. And so one of the big components that we do with the majority of our clients is we put in the networking equipment at their location. So with networking equipment, what happens is that when you go and you buy it, it has software built into it. It's called firmware. And there it sits. And so what happens though is that firmware can get out of date. There could be security updates that came out, but nobody ever applies them. That is not a normal habit. It's like, let me ask you right now, when was the last time that you updated the firmware on your router at home? Every single one of us has a router at home. Anyone? Post it in the comments if that's something that you do on a regular basis. I'd love to have a deeper conversation with you. So the systems that we use, we do those updates for you guys in real time at a very high frequency. It just depends on when they're coming out, but we're looking at that every day. That's part of our dashboard work. And so that is a huge part of that. And then the next thing is that the quality that we put into our project sets. So when we go to work projects and things like that, it's all about communication and expectation. And so when we're developing these projects, we're making sure that we're getting the best bang for your buck and we're getting a win-win situation. Because at the end of the day, these have to be win-win situations. Because otherwise, it's just not going to be a long-term relationship. And we've talked about that a little bit already. So here we go. We also can get into the security aspect on email. So not just security on the network, but security on your computer system, which is our endpoint, stops ransomware in its tracks, does the malware, stops the malware, stops the viruses, all that kind of fun stuff. When it happens, we get notifications. I remember a few years ago, the first time that we saw anti-ransomware software that we had deployed start to work. And there was a client that had downloaded a piece of ransomware and installed it, saved it to their desktop, trying to run the program, open the file, and it kept on running the ransomware and encrypting their computer system. And my tech called me over and he's like, look at this, because we're watching it encrypt everything, and then our software would decrypt. And then the user would double click on it going, why isn't this working? Encrypt everything, and the ransomware would run, and then our software would catch it and spin everything back. And at first we thought that was so great. We were laughing about it. And I was like, oh, wait, time out. He's not stopping. Call the user, tell him to quit doing that. And so we eventually explained to them and did some training with them so they were no longer downloading and installing ransomware on their own computer systems. But you have to understand that could be catastrophic. That could have been days offline for the whole entire organization. The major point of security failure in organizations is the users. And that brings me to the next point. One of the things that we can help you guys with is cybersecurity training. We can help your users get more up to speed, or even yourself, not just, speaking about staff and stuff, but everyone. We can help everyone get up to speed on cybersecurity and what they need to do for best practices. How do I know that it's a good website to go to? What does a URL mean? How do I know which emails not to click on? And so with that comes our email threat protection and our advanced email security tools. And so these are more things that we can help you out with. But this is one of the big things that MSPs should be doing for you, is taking care of all of those parts and pieces, making sure you're up to date, current, safe, and secure. And so I hope this was helpful. That's a lot of the basic information about MSPs, about our service plans, the things that we can do for you. And just to reiterate real quick, it's way beyond just the desktop. It's dealing with the server. It's dealing with the network. It's dealing with phone systems, camera systems, door lock systems, all of those things that can connect to the internet and connect to your mobile devices and all that kind of fun stuff. That is stuff we can help you with. And if you guys do have a need, want, or are just curious, let us know. We'd love to share some of our glossy material with you. We can drop it in the mail. We can drop it out on site. I'd love to have a more in-depth conversation. And so we have these guys right here for you, as well as if you have anybody that you think might be able to use some of our services. I was super excited. I had a great conversation the other day. We've been doing a lot more work with native corporations, and we're actually about ready to go do quite a bit in one of the villages. And so one of the things that came up with that, though, is there's a lot of folks out there that are remote and don't have a lot of access to support. A lot of them have computer systems. And so something we're able to do is work on this bundled package with MPH seats for all of these users that are basically in the middle of nowhere. But we're going to be able to help provide that remote support when they need it at a cost-effective rate that works well for all of them, as well as help them with their internet to their whole entire village. So that's some of the type of stuff that we do. We like to get out, get into the community, help as much as possible, and just keep everything going from there. So I appreciate you guys showing up today. Hope this was helpful. If you do, please like, share on Facebook, add any comments. I'd love to get some feedback on what you thought about today's presentation. And here again, if you get a chance, go check out our website. We've been doing updates there. We're really proud of the information we've been able to put out there and of our services. I'm truly blessed for the team that we have here. Support professionals. This truly is a family. We pride ourselves on our culture and just being able to provide top level services to all of the wonderful people and just to keep everything going. Excellent. And hey, thank you, Yoko. I see your comment there. Really appreciate that. And all right, guys, have a wonderful day. And I look forward to seeing you guys next Wednesday, same bat time, same bat channel, for those that are old enough to know what that means. And I'm not sure what the topic is yet. I forget. I don't have my notes in front of me on that, but we'll get something good going on. If you do have anything particular that you would like to see in the notes or see coming up on shows, go ahead and drop me a comment on that or shoot me an email direct. Mike@akcs.pro is my email address, or you can call us here at the office, 907-868-7300. Love to have a chat with you about that. One of the things I've been talking about that I owe you guys is doing some interviews with some customers so you can find out a little bit more about their businesses as well. And so if you are interested in having a spotlight on your company on this show, just reach out and let me know. All right. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you next week.